Healing Through Triggers, Strategies for Peace and Growth. Welcome to another episode of Grace Oasis, where we create space for healing, growth, and self-reflection. I'm your host, Jocelyn Grace, and I'm so glad you're here today. We're diving into a topic that hits close to home for many of us. Emotional triggers can pull us into old pain unexpectedly, making us feel vulnerable or even out of control. But I want to remind you that these triggers don't have to define or control you. Today, we're going to explore what triggers are and walk through some practical healing strategies to help you navigate through them and reclaim your peace. Let's get started. So, what exactly are emotional triggers? Simply put, they're deep emotional responses tied to past experiences, usually from trauma, pain, or unresolved feelings. A trigger could be a person's tone of voice, a word, a place, or even a memory that suddenly brings up old emotions you thought you had long buried. For me, there was a time when hearing certain phrases or seeing familiar settings would immediately bring up emotions I hadn't fully processed, and it would take me right back to difficult moments. Triggers can catch us off guard, but they can also be opportunities to heal. The first step to healing, though, is recognizing when you're triggered. Awareness is key. When we can name the trigger, we gain power over it. Let's break down some common types of triggers. There are different categories we often fall into. Relationship triggers. These arise when you feel rejected, abandoned, or invalidated by someone, reminding you of past emotional pain. Childhood trauma triggers. These reactions are often linked to unresolved childhood experiences, situations where you didn't feel seen, heard, or loved in the ways you needed. Self-worth triggers. These happen when someone criticizes you, or you perceive failure, hitting deep into your sense of identity and self-esteem. Grief triggers. These might show up as reminders of someone or something you've lost, whether through death, a breakup, or some other separation. When certain events or people bring these unresolved emotions back to the surface, it's a sign that healing is still an ongoing process. And that's okay. Healing isn't linear. The first step to healing: self-awareness. So how do we begin to heal through these triggers? The first and most important step is self. Without understanding what's triggering us and why, we can't truly work through the emotions. Here are a few ways you can increase self-awareness. Journaling. Start by writing down situations where you felt triggered. What happened? How did it make you feel? Body awareness. Notice the physical sensations that accompany your triggers, whether it's a racing heart, a tight chest, or feeling like you want to shut down emotionally. Our bodies often tell us what our minds are trying to ignore. Mindfulness. Practice staying present in the moment. When you feel triggered, take a deep breath before reacting. Observe your emotions and remind yourself that you are safe. Remember, awareness is the first step toward healing. When you understand your triggers, you can begin to shift your responses. Now that we've built some awareness, let's talk about healing strategies. How do we take control of our triggers, rather than letting them control us? I want to share some practical methods you can start using today. Grounding techniques. When you're triggered, it can feel like you're spiraling out of control. Grounding techniques help bring you back to the present moment. One way is through deep, intentional breathing. Take a slow breath in through your nose, hold for a few seconds, and then release it slowly. Another method is visualization. Imagine roots growing from your feet into the earth, keeping you grounded and connected. Inner child healing. Sometimes, our triggers stem from unmet needs or wounds from our inner child. Speak kindly to that younger version of yourself. Reassure your inner child with words like, "It's okay to feel this way. I'm here for you." You'd be surprised how powerful it is to give yourself the love and validation you didn't receive in the past. Shadow work. This involves confronting the parts of ourselves that we've buried or denied. Triggers often shine a light on our shadows. Take the time to reflect and ask yourself, what is this trigger revealing about something I need to heal? Write it down, explore it, and work through it with patience. Setting boundaries. Sometimes, healing means creating boundaries with others. It's not about avoiding people, but protecting your peace. If someone's behavior consistently triggers you, it might be time to set a boundary with them. It's a way of taking control of your emotional well-being. Throughout this process, one of the most important things you can do is practice self-compassion. Don't beat yourself up for being triggered or for how you've reacted in the past. Triggers are a part of life, and they're especially a part of healing. Whenever you feel triggered, remind yourself, I am safe. My feelings are valid. I can work through this. Be gentle with yourself, especially when old wounds resurface. Healing isn't a straight line, it's full of ups, downs, and everything in between. But the more compassion you show yourself, the easier it will be to navigate through the tough moments. And that brings me to my final thought. Healing isn't about avoiding triggers or pretending they don't exist. It's about mastering your response. You have the power to decide how you respond to your emotions. Rather than reacting from a place of pain or fear, choose to respond from a place of understanding and love. I want you to remember that triggers, as uncomfortable as they are, can also be your teachers. They show you where healing is needed. And by mastering your responses, you create more space for peace, joy, and authentic self-expression. Thank you all so much for joining me today on Grace's Oasis. I hope today's conversation has given you some insight into your own triggers and practical tools to help you heal through them. Remember, triggers are not obstacles, they're opportunities to grow stronger and more in tune with yourself. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, keep walking in your light and choosing peace.